Welcome back to the Music Marketing Podcast. I'm joined with Alex for once again.
Hey.
How's it going?
I'm hot.
Yeah,
so
it's literally
hot.
the hottest day ever in the UK right now.
It's actually unbearable here.
It is painful, and we decided to do a podcast, obviously.
I know. I get DMs all the time from people in like America and other places, and they say like in Britain, like, how can we not handle the heat? And what they don't realize is AC is not normal in the UK. I think we're like the only country where it's not a normal thing to have indoor AC.
Yeah.
So
also, we can't even have a fan on right now because we're recording a podcast, and I am dying. I'm actually melting. Oh God. Yeah, so today's podcast, we wanted to talk about something which I think is a really hot topic in the industry, but also in kind of social media world as a whole. Mm-hmm. It's the idea of sort of raw content versus really polished content, and what works best, and in kind of what formats and on what platforms and why. And I think our understanding of this and sort of our views have massively changed over even the past couple of months as to which content works best.
Yeah.
Did you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. It used to be kind of raw content, and I think it's gone even a step further in that it's going to be content where it has to be incredibly fast-paced, raw, and almost like you don't even care less than you did 3 months ago. Is that what you're going to say? Yeah,
I feel like raw content has always done better because it feels so much more personal. People can engage with it more. It's so easy to not skip it because it just fits in with what's on your feed with your friends and stuff as well.
Yeah.
However, I think it's become a lot clearer because of lockdown, because there's been not many opportunities for people to create that polished content.
Yeah.
But I also think because of the impact that TikTok has had.
Yeah, I completely agree. And we're taking it back to the very, very start of music content, where I feel like it's come from is music videos and television and things like that. So if you went back to like 80s and 90s and you think about what kind of content people consumed, it was on TV, and you would be watching a set TV show which had a pretty significant budget to make it entertaining, to make it something pleasing to watch, and pleasing to watch for people who weren't even that interested, because you only had somewhere between 5 to 100 channels depending on your TV subscription. And then you've got all this high production stuff, and then you go onto the music channels, and then your music needs to be able to fit in with that high production. Therefore, you are creating something amazing where people can watch it and they see it on television and they're gripped. They're not going to change the channel like you would change an Instagram story. So I feel like it's come from there, and then everyone else changed. So if you watch a fitness video from the 1990s, which is kind of, they've rented a studio, they've got like 5 cameras, different angles, good audio, and then you watch a fitness YouTuber, which is the same content, if not probably better information, but now it's completely raw content which people want to see, and people are much happier to watch that. So I feel like the music industry didn't change with that, and they took their polished content and just tried to shoehorn it into social media and expect it to work just as well.
Yeah, you'd also think that, like, as marketers, we would have learnt from the radio to TV days. So when radio ads were so popular, obviously they had a very simple format where you just the audio had to sell something. And then when TV was brought in, they didn't adapt. They didn't realise that they could use the visuals to also sell. So TV ads used to be so poor. And to be honest, I think a lot of TV ads still are. But if you look at social media, a lot of people produced ads as like TV adverts. And it's strange that we can't see that social media is a completely different platform. Just because social media ads and has the word ad in it doesn't mean it's a TV ad. Yeah. And I think there might be some confusion with that. I think people see social media advertising as basic advertising, and the word advertising people always see as like newspaper ads and TV ads, which are just salesy. And I think that's something that just needs to be people need to step away from. And it's definitely happening. I'm seeing so many more ads, especially on Instagram stories, which are so much more raw. And I think with TikTok now bringing in ads for more people to get involved with, we'll see it more and more.
And what do you think about music videos as well? So if you think about it, going back to, okay, let's say start of YouTube, 2008, 2009, I think I would sit and watch YouTube music videos on YouTube. And then the first raw one I can ever think of was OK Go.
Yeah.
Or was it called There She Goes Again or Goes Again or something like that?
I can't remember. The one on the running machine?
The one on the treadmills, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the first one where it really blew up because it was raw, because they did it themselves and it stood out. And then it seemed like from then on, which I don't know what date that was, but my guess would be somewhere around like 2007, that video. And from then on, it sort of progressed. But you do see, Justin Bieber's Yummy, huge high production stuff. Like, what do you think these days about high production YouTube videos, music videos? Is there still a place for it?
Well, they definitely see a return because they continuously do them. So they see the return on the views and obviously brand placement within videos.
Do you think they get the views if it was raw?
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm unsure whether it would do better than like a really raw piece of content. Like, would people prefer it if Justin Bieber did a vlog style thing? I'm unsure. I think so, purely because with some of these larger artists, there definitely feels like there's some sort of barrier up where they can't engage with them, and people want it more and more and more. So you're looking at who's the artist on TikTok at the moment who is just engaging with her audience massively? I tweeted about her. She did the campaign where she said, if I get this track to number 1, if you stream it enough, I will show my boobs to you all. Do you remember this?
It was Doja Cat.
Yes, Doja Cat is such a perfect example of an artist that is so raw, and everything she does is raw, and she just doesn't care. And I think that kind of artist is the new generation, basically. And I think that's the only way to sort of see it going forward, because these high production music videos, who has the time to sit and watch a 4-minute basically short film in a way, when people don't have that attention span? If they're going to do that, they would rather go on Netflix and watch a series which has some sort of narrative, and music videos often don't. It's just an artist performing.
I'd love to see a big artist just be bold and just strip it back and make it work. I think they absolutely could make it work. And same, I think Lil Nas X as well is very raw in that content side. I haven't seen a raw music video from him, but in terms of social media content, it is just like following a mate.
Yeah, and I also think on his Twitter he does that amazingly. Always just like tweeting memes. He's started playing around with that voice note feature on Twitter as well. So yeah, I think it's great for it. But I think the main thing I've seen recently is raw content is massively winning purely because of the sort of consumption habits that TikTok's brought along. People only want short form content. They want the joke or the engaging part to hit within the first 2 to 3 seconds. The content's filmed on a phone. It's vertical. All stuff like that. It can't be done professionally. It just doesn't work. And even when you do see professional content on the feed, you immediately flick past it. And that's why a lot of the ads I've seen from the music industry on TikTok so far, I don't know how they're getting any sort of engagement, or even if they are, maybe they're just playing around with them.
I think it's just size of
they're adverts. Yeah, true.
If you've got big enough brand, people are going to swipe up to see what the latest track is if they're already fans.
Yeah. Do you think that, because obviously a lot of artists, if you do look at their feed at the moment, it is a mix between raw and professional. Do you think it's going to get to a point where there's no professional content whatsoever?
I think professional content has a place, because I really did enjoy Lewis Capaldi's music video of
the very emotional one.
What was his huge song called? My mind's gone blank.
Hold Me While You Wait?
No, it was, oh my god, the biggest song of 2019. I forgot what it's called, but the one with Peter Capaldi in it.
Yeah.
So basically I still thought that was special. So you've watched this artist come across and kind of you've watched his story develop, and then he creates a piece of art for you. There is still a balance and a place for professional content, I'd say.
Yeah. But that again had a narrative, so people could actually engage with something. The ones which are just like dance routines and stuff, I'm unsure how much longer they can last. Just because they're not unique enough. It either needs to have a narrative or it needs to be something really out there. Like obviously Childish Gambino, his music video a couple of years ago blew up because of like the meaning behind it. I think that's the only time where professional content can really sort of shine through. But we've seen it massively with ads, haven't we? In the past couple of months, we've been playing around with ads a lot, comparing sort of professional looking content to raw looking content, stories to feed, Facebook to Instagram, and it's clearly at the moment the raw content is winning by far. And do you think that's because people see it in the feed and don't immediately see that it's an ad, or do you think it's just more engaging?
Yes, I think both. So I think if you think about your friends just posting a load of crap up, sharing a load of memes, and then suddenly something comes up that is polished, you're going to think that wants something from me. We're now conditioned to be able to recognize ads and recognize a hidden motive. But now, if you post something that is raw and fits in with your usual content, I am seeing really good ads at the moment on social media for like neon lights. And it is just like a guy filming his new neon light, and that is it. And it's on his wall, and he's saying, I got it from here, and I don't realize it's an ad. I genuinely, every time it fools me, because I think that it's one of my friends that have got a new neon light, the way it's filmed, and it got my attention. And if I was looking for a neon light, yes, I think that would make me make a purchase. So I think having it fitting in with the content that everyone is seeing on their feed is a big thing.
I think the main reason artists don't enjoy or feel confident enough to put out raw content is because they feel it's not professional. But I think that's something that's died years and years and years ago.
Still a hangover, isn't it?
Yeah, artists don't really need to be professional, and I don't know where that's come from in any way. If someone looks at your Instagram and sees tons of raw content but an insane amount of engagement, they're not going to say, that artist is not very professional, I'm not going to sign them, or I'm not going to even listen to their music. It's the other way around. If you have tons of professional content and no one is even engaging with it, that's where you're stuck. No one's ever going to engage, really. And I think that whole idea of professional content equals being professional just needs to end, because it's so not true. And I think it's going to really impact a lot of artists' growth, but also sort of mentality, because they're too embarrassed in a way to put out raw content because they think that implies that they failed.
There's a pattern at the moment I'm seeing it with artists who are really big at the moment, and I'm loving this. And it's they preview their track to the audience on like an Instagram live or on their stories. And previously, when we've worked in the music industry, I've worked in the music industry like 7 or 8 years. If we get sent a private SoundCloud link, if there's a little note saying, please keep this to yourself for your ears only, make sure it doesn't leak, etc. And then suddenly there's a teaser, and it's like a 10-second teaser, there's something's coming, and then it's like announced on this date, here's the release date, and then it's out. And then I was thought, why don't we just follow the fitness industry and just like put out content? And then what I'm seeing now is something completely different and completely unique to the music industry, where they are actually using their audience as market research. So they will go onto Instagram Live and say, guys, I've just written this song, let me know what you think. Genuinely, do you like it? I'm not sure on it. And then the audience feels part of it. They feel like they've been part of the actual process of this song. They get instant feedback on the track. If people are like, oh my God, release this, I love it, they can go back and see the comments. And then they release it with no announcement or anything. Just another track's up, done it, made it in my bedroom. And then it blows up because you've already got that momentum from the audience that feels part of it. I love that. I love the fact that artists are now recognizing that they can just put out music as part of their content strategy rather than a release strategy.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think people treat music too much as the product. As an artist, you should use your music as the marketing tool. Obviously, it is the end product that they want to listen to, but it helps you grow every single release. So what's the point in doing them every 6 months or so, when you could release as often as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of being really raw with it is so cool as well, because if you're giving content to your audience, it's not putting too much pressure on each release, because at the moment, what an artist will do is announce it on their socials, they'll tease it, and then they'll drop it, and then literally 24 hours later we'll freak that it hasn't got more than 1,000 streams. But if you're releasing a lot, sort of experimenting with what your audience like and all stuff like that, then each release is just going to act as a marketing tool and grow that audience a little bit further.
Yeah, I completely agree. And should we talk about how artists can be raw and make it work? Sort of practically speaking, because there are things that I see artists doing to be able to find content to do, especially when it's difficult to create content in lockdown. One of the things I feel is underutilized right now on Instagram is the polls and the Q&As. So I see a lot of artists putting up a question, and then they either just do a Q&A, and that gives you like 5 engaging, or well, it could give you 20 engaging stories to go with. You can answer them by talking to camera. You can take a photo of something and then put a caption. There are just so many different ways to engage an audience, and that is still raw content, because you're just talking to camera, no makeup on, whatever, just you are who you are. And I think that kind of nails it in a sentence, being who you are, because that is what people engage with and invest in.
Yeah, I think that kind of content is just so authentic, but it's also something that people can relate to. Like, the whole professional look doesn't work because it's something that you can't relate to. But if an artist is just taking pictures of how they create the track, them in the studio, like, people want to see that behind the scenes, because it's actually what you're doing. Even if that studio is literally your bedroom, it's something that's so real, and people are nosy as well. I think artists worry that no one cares about kind of what they're having for breakfast or what they do to warm up their vocals, all stuff like that. But if you're not doing that every day, of course you care. Like, think about your favorite influencer. I look through some of these influencers, put like 20 stories live a day, and I watch every single one. I want to see them take their dog for a walk. I want to see them pick up their Starbucks, because it's not your life, and everyone likes to see something that isn't really their life. And for an artist, that doesn't mean doing the whole influencer thing where you're taking a picture of your coffee cup. It can be taking short snippets of every single bit of the creation of a track. So Nina Nesbitt on TikTok the other day, she did a minute-long video of how she did the PG Tips track that she did. And it was so engaging. For one, I didn't even know she'd done that track, so I never would have even heard it. And two, I was like, wait, how do you write a track for an advert? Like, did you get given the brief? Did you just get complete freedom? And she takes you through that. And I went and listened to the track straight after, because it's just something different, and I care. Like, I couldn't do that myself, so I want to know how they do it. And that's, as an artist, you've got to realise your audience don't do this every day. They want to hear how you do it. And raw content's the best for that.
Yeah, and that's just made me realise that raw content gives you quantity as well. So you want to stay on people's minds all of the time. If you are constantly... If people are seeing your content every single day, they get closer and closer to you. A rapport builds. Even if your content was worse one day than it was the last, that rapport is still building on every touch point when they are consuming your content, and you can't help that. So when you do have raw content, obviously you're going to be able to create more of it. Therefore, there are more touch points.
Yeah, you also don't need to rely on anyone else. You have your phone. Whereas professional content, you often need a photographer, a videographer, someone to edit things. Just completely do it on your own, and think about every single day an Instagram story. You can post as many as you possibly wanted to, as long as they're engaging and they show something different. Whereas professional content, you're relying on others, and there's that time you have to wait for it to be created. Raw content is instant.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, I think we've made it pretty clear that we are a big fan of raw content.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to end it, though.
Good place, yeah.
Cool. Well, if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a review and hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next one.